Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome back to the next part of the Bang Shishigami project, where last time we finally got a little bit of actual color into him. I think the hair came out a little darker than I wanted to. It's funny, it looked perfect inside the a little cup I cut to put them in, but it came out a little darker than I wanted to, and I'm going to deal with that in time, just not today. Today we have a whole bunch of things I want to get at least started, and I also have the big announcement I want to do is I'm going to, like I said, I have an idea of which characters I want to do next for the next project, and come the end of this session, we're going to dive into that, and we can go over to where my brain is going on that one, and I can divulge the three guys I'm planning on going between. And to give you one hint, the last couple of models I've done have been a little more on the fanciful side. I did Cat the three that I've done so far this year. I've had Cat, who's this kind of flying character. She kind of controls gravity and whatnot. I then did the Night Witch, which is not a kind of fanciful kind of flyy, kind of floaty flying things. We have Bang, who's like this larger than life, like real life cartoon character type person. So we're gonna change pace a little bit on it. I'm thinking right now of changing pace a little bit the next one. And on the next one, we're gonna be going to war. I've never done a war type figure before, and it's gonna be a little more on the serious side. But I'm thinking of going down that direction. Hang on till the end of this episode, and we'll go over which medium I'm going from and which characters from that I'm looking towards. But that is the direction I'm looking at right now. As for today, do I want to touch up the hair? Yes. Do I want to do it today? No. Today, I'm just going to get a number of the kind of back of house things that I should just get done at some point. So I want to get a coat, at least a coat of the red on everything. Because when I did the Night Witch one, it took like 5 coats. It was like at least 5 or 6 coats of the red before it covered correctly. So I want to at least get one of these coats on camera. I'm not going to do all of those coats on camera. I might just do the one on camera and then just finish that off. Because these are really kind of boring areas. I just paint the entire thing. There are only a couple little touch-ups on him to do, like the little shuriken on the belt and the little kind of rope things on the sides. My hand's covering on like the sides, and that's it. So I can at least get one on camera, then we go from there. I also want to get an underlayer on all the metal work if I can. So I'd be getting an underpiece on the steel, on like the shoes, on the knee guards, on the gauntlets. Get at least a top or an undercoat on those. Because if you're looking at the image, it looks like the nail itself is a little bit darker than all the others. So I'm going to put a similar undercoat on all of the metal pieces. And then after that, and well, actually for the undercoat, I'm going to use a satin again on this, which is going to be a mixture of the dark gray and the white, because apparently dark gray is the only version I have, so I'm going to tone that down a little bit. And then when I come to the final coat, I'm probably going to add just like a touch of white or something to I have a nickel metallic finish. Maybe add a touch of white to kind of tone it down on here because I don't want this to turn too dark. And then when it comes to the other ones, it looks like it's almost a beigeish something kind of mixed in. So when I do the final coat again, it's going to be the metallic kind of base, which I'll mix with kind of more of maybe a slight beigeish color. And they're going to be close together in color, but there should be a little bit of difference. But again, the undercoat will be the same. And yeah, let us just jump right into this. And to start on the red, I'm using nice little holiday red. It's going to be close enough to what I like to call fire engine red. Or did I have another one in here? We have bright red, which, well, as we can see, my eyes can't tell the difference between these two. Yay for probably being slightly colorblind. You know what? Bright red sounds like it's going to be more correct, because this looks like it's fire hydrant, fire engine kind of red. So let's go with the bright red. If it doesn't look right, we can always change it. It's going to be close. I'll have enough coats I can change it with, so don't need to worry about that. Okay, so I guess to start with, we can move you. We don't need the head, don't need the hair, don't need any of that. Don't need you right now. But I figure while the brushes and whatnot are still good, Let's actually start with the camera facing the right way, probably downish slightly. And we're gonna touch up. Oh, this is already problems. This is not the way. You know what? We gotta do the thing with the stuff. I can't see what I'm doing. So let's see. If I'm like this, are we on camera? Kind of on camera that way. Now if I can keep my face off of camera this time, that would probably be super cool. Now again, if I get splotches like all over the place on this, I'm not really worried because I may not do the 5 coats on this particular element just because it's so small, you're not going to see the blotchiness. But in the end, it will definitely be more than just the one. Sorry, I have to turn this thing away from you so you can't see anything, but at the same time, I do need to see what I'm doing. So I just figured, well, the brush is still good. Let's start with the worst element here. Or at least the one that actually involves real cutting in. Because once I get to the main part, we are changing brushes. We can get that in and out of the way a little bit quicker. Okay, that was the hardest of them. So if I'm going there, you can see what's going on. Good. Because we need this guy to be... Ooh, I see stuff that the primer didn't get into, and I can see why. This brush isn't getting in there either. Awesome. Yeah, I apologize for my fingers being the way they are. You see all the white stuff on here. I've been doing a lot of tiling this week, and it's going to take some time for that thin set to work its way out. Unfortunately, it doesn't just wash off nice and easy. It's going to be like that for a little while. So apologize for that, but that is a downside of my job. I'm working on tiling, finishing off kind of a little powder room bathroom. Actually, there's a shower in there. It's like the size of a powder room, but it's a full bath. So I've been working on the shower all week, and I still have the floor to go. So not done yet. Still have probably 2 more days worth of tiling before I'm finished. Whoop. Alright, we got that one is in. And I got to come down here too because we have these little ropes need to be done. Now when it comes to metal, I'm going to go as far as I can on the metal today. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to get all of that done because I do want to leave time at the end to go over potential future project. Again, it will be subject to change. If the time comes when I actually get to start it, I may go, I'm not in the mood for that and do something else. But at the same time, I've kind of had the figures I'm going to show in mind for quite a while now. So I don't see myself changing my mind on that, at least going too extreme on changing things. But just keep in mind, things are subject to change depending how I feel at the time and how training and all that type of stuff goes. Because I have a feeling training is going to turn into a thing. I hope this stuff is on camera because I'm... Okay. Once again, whenever I'm not using the glasses, it's hard for me to tell. And it's like I'm just kind of hoping things are aimed the way they are. Yeah, first I thought like, oh, it's the red. Red is easy. There's no cutting in whatsoever. Then all of a sudden I realized I've looked at this going, wait a minute. There are a couple spots that actually require some thought and care to put in. It's not just the big scarf stuff that isn't actually attached to the rest of the body. There are other elements. This is where looking and being observant actually helps. That said, I had my little dose of randomness today coming home from work. Because, first off, I don't use the AC in my truck. My previous truck, the AC died about 9 years ago, and I just never got it recharged, refilled. So I'm just used to opening up the windows when I go driving anywhere in the summer. It's just what I got used to, and I'm just kind of doing the same thing on my truck right now, even though everything 100% works. So, coming home from work today, I'm maybe 4 miles away from my place, and again, we're middle of summer, so windows are open. I'm going maybe 40, 45 miles an hour down the road. It's a well-trafficked road that it's still, I think the speed limit's 50 at that point, but I'm still buzzing. I'm still kind of going through at a pretty good clip. And all of a sudden I hear a little whack. I look down, and I have a bee sitting in my lap. A little guy. He's not a big one, but he's on his back. The legs are kind of like flailing around, and he's just sitting on my lap. I'm like, well, that's awkward. Don't get up and annoy me. If you're gonna get up, just please fly out. But he looked like he was struggling. And then he's not going anywhere, and he's not going anywhere, and he's not going anywhere. And finally, it's like, I'm now 3 miles from my house, 2 miles from my house, 1 mile from my house. He's still not going. He's just parked on my lap. Just, there he is. And finally, it gets like, I'm like quarter mile away. I'm kind of pulling in. I'm like maybe 1/10 of a mile away. I'm getting close. Like, all right, as soon as I get out, I'm going to open up this door. I'm going to open the door. I'm just kind of, I have something to kind of scoop him up to kind of get him out of the truck easy. So the last thing I want to do is get lost or whatnot in here. Then we're in all sorts of trouble. And yeah, I get about 1/10 of a mile away, and all of a sudden he's gone. I'm like, I park the truck. I'm like checking my pockets. I'm checking my shirt. I'm like looking under the seats, everything. He's just gone. I'm like, this guy was dazed and confused. I don't know how he would have flown out anywhere. I feel like I would have noticed him flying out somewhere, but I'm like, what the heck is this? Like, okay. So next time I go in my truck, there may or may not be a bee in there. I don't know. I couldn't find him. I don't know where he went. He wasn't on the seat. He wasn't on me. He wasn't on the floor as far as I could tell. So there's that. Not like that's the only time I've had weird insects things in the truck, but it's like, where did this come from? Greatest, I'm sure everyone's experienced it at some point or other. We have like a spider or something just kind of, you're driving down the road and all of a sudden there's one of those like crawling across your dashboard. And you're like, wait, no, stop. Don't do this. Or if you're going to do it, at least stay in sight. Don't disappear while I'm driving. That would be super bad. But yeah, I never had a bee just literally just fall on me while driving. Especially at that kind of speed. I just don't know. Okay, we have our first coat of red on those. I can put the glasses back on. Might be able to see some things. Let's pop you back in there. Look at that improvement. All that massive improvement right there. Okay, so before we go any further, we are cleaning out this brush because we are not using this tiny brush to do the scarf stuff. That is just a hard no. Again, I figure this is going to be probably one of the less exciting videos, so that's why I'm kind of tying this one with the character reveal at the end. So at least there's going to be something coming from this in the end. Something I can get some kind of draw to keep you in here, because I feel like it's going to need it. Although at the end of this, quantity-wise, this will probably be the largest quantity of stuff getting done outside of the priming phase, because there is, quantity-wise, a lot of red and a lot of the silver stuff happening. Yeah, I know it's going to be a little slower going out of this, but I really don't have a need to mix this in any kind of container, so just going to go about and do it this way. Even if it means I'm going to be mixing that up quite often, but whatever. Yeah, once this whole thing goes together, this will help make everything pop. Again, I'm kind of holding off on the green and gold stuff till the end, so actually the decal work will be the last thing. I will, I think, try to do that on camera. I was rewatching the previous one before, and doing those kind of zoomed in areas do kind of work. I know they're not the greatest viewing wise, but they do kind of work. So if I can do that on the decal on camera, I will be happy with that. So okay, let's just get inside here. Mix some more. I know I'm going from that. You know what? There is enough that I can just go straight from the source. Why not? Well, the reason why not is because I can't see when my brush is hitting. I'm just kind of assuming when my brush is hitting stuff. That is the reason why not. If this wasn't on camera, that would probably be, like most things, slightly easier. But we are where we are. And this is covering like garbage. It looks like on the video it's not covering too bad. But again, I am definitely noticing a difference between what you're seeing on the video and what I'm seeing here in real life. I saw it on the skin tones. The skin tones look a little more washed out on camera than they are in real life. The red here is actually looking slightly more vivid on camera. Whoa, hello. We don't have that much paint in there. But it is still going to take a lot of coats. And the cut-in stuff, the things that are kind of fun to go to, you kind of look through, yes, those I will do on camera. There is that kind of sense. Does he get it right? Does he not get it right? It's like a little sense of adventure looking at it. Here, there's nothing. It's just, here it is. One more coat over everything. Yay. But thankfully, this is also fairly fast. So, not uber concerned. Okay, I'm going to want to put this thing down soon before I have a combination of the thin set fingers with red fingers, because all I need to do is look like I'm bleeding now and I'll be set. Which wouldn't be out of character. Usually something happens at work and I wind up in that state. It just is what it is. Alright, here we go. And there are no special markings, no special anything that goes on this guy. So it is just red. We want a red scarf, we will get a red scarf. We will get a very red scarf. Oh, I'm so glad I switched brushes. This is making life so much faster. How about I push you here, I push you back so I can hold this thing back a little bit. I don't need this right smack dab in front of the camera. I've also been slightly bad at this painting thing so far, in that I know I'm much less, I'm not going to say stressed, but I know painting takes a lot less planning than the modeling phase, and I know I don't need to worry about being like the week ahead like I used to be before. But at the same time, in my head, I'm like, oh, this video is going out on Saturday, so that's awesome. I can just kind of skirt through, do my big thing on the weekend, bim bam boom, done. Until I realized if this one's going out on Saturday, that means it goes out by midnight on Friday. So if you want to know how far ahead I am of you right now, I'm approximately 3 hours ahead of you. Pretty much as soon as this video ends, it is getting uploaded. Because I'm like, oh shoot. Everything else, I'm probably gonna have like 90% of the painting done by the end of this weekend, and then how long it takes to actually make its way through the video part, I'm not sure. But hopefully by next weekend, this should be pretty well done. But yeah, I just gotta hit that. Oh shoot, I need this done tonight. Wasn't mentally ready for that. I still planned on doing one tonight, but it's just the fact that I have to do one tonight. I have been on point so far since video 1, and where this is what now, video number 36, I think. So yeah, let's not fall behind at this juncture. All right, we're getting there. Alright, I need something to talk about because this is the most boring part of the thing, and all of a sudden now I have nothing. Because I feel like I've already gone through a lot of the Killington stuff in the last session. And I have, as much as I was worried before, I do have a game plan in mind kind of now. So I'm not as super worried, but it's still, I'm still not sure it's going to be physically possible. At the same time, I was thinking last week when I was trying to remember the other instances where I literally wasn't sure if I could do an activity I had started with. I'd mentioned the Science Olympiad at States. The first time going to States was for sure because I was brought on the team for one reason and one reason only. I had to win that. I had to be the best in the state. Period. There was no other option. I was put on the team for that reason. And what I forgot to mention last time was, yes, we have gone to nationals before. I've mentioned that. Our team did make it all the way through. That first time in there, yes, I did win states. I did get that much into it. So on that end of things, there was a mission accomplished. Nationals was another story, but I did win states in that competition. That said, one of the obvious ones I had thought about like after I turned the camera off was when I was doing training for Worlds for the Spartan stuff 3 years ago, back in 2022. Yes, it was 2022. Because what that race was that was a 24-hour race, effectively doing like a Spartan Beast kind of distance, like a half marathon distance loop, and you just do it over and over and over and over again until 24 hours was up. Either you stopped or 24 hours was up, and that was it. Just whoever went the farthest in that time would win. So it seemed that typically in my age group in the year before, about 40 miles on that seemed to be not great, but kind of a halfway decent distance. Again, usually it's a 50K is the standard ultra distance, which is 31 miles. So it seemed like around 41 or around 40 was around where people, at least in my age group, started kind of dropping out. So I was like, okay, that was going to be my goal on that. And when it was far in advance, all that seemed really good, nice. Oh, I can do this. But it's kind of funny as you start getting closer and closer to the event, you start realizing just what's involved. And all of a sudden, yeah, about a month or two out, kind of like where I am right now, it kind of turns into an, oh shoot. I signed up for this. What did I sign up for? This isn't good. And yeah, no, that was definitely it on it. Again, the event ultimately got canceled the week before, so I wasn't able to go and do it. But that was that was definitely another one of those where if the event had been held, I have no idea how well or not I would have done. I remember when it was canceled, they went and like, okay, they allowed you to transfer your race to a different one. Spartan had also bought Tough Mudder, so I could have gone and done the world's hardest Tough Mudder one was an option to do, but that's a different kind of race altogether. That one, Tough Mudder seems like one of those you do just kind of for fun. It's sort of like a backyard kind of fun thing. Get muddy, do it, and half their elements involve water, and they strongly recommend, at least in like the night portions and whatnot, that you bring a wetsuit to do it in because the water temperatures. And that seems more like a gear check than anything else to kind of make sure you have the right gear rather than be actual hard and whatnot of that. And it just, for some reason, that one just doesn't appeal. That race in general just doesn't appeal to me as much. So instead, I swapped out to the half marathon. I did a beast one. Like it was going to be run literally the week after when Worlds was, and I just felt terrible during that. So had I actually done Worlds, I have no idea how that would have gone because let me double check this has the right sheen. Yes, you do. Okay, so we're going to start doing some of the metalwork. Red has a coat. It's now drying. So what are we doing on time? We're doing very good on time. I don't want to open that part. Okay, once again, we're going to add more than I need in here. I think I've actually used the white recently, so this shouldn't be an issue. We can get the extra hardened stuff off here, though. Yeah, because I know when I do the other... I know when I add the nickel, it's going to darken it up. I can see this. That's going to darken it up a little bit more. Now, I haven't tried doing the nickel, the metallic one, just on its own. Because when I did the... Not the rain one. Which one was it? When I did the cat model, and she has kind of like the little kind of gold filigree kind of stuff and whatever. It's kind of the little detail-y work. I remember I started with just a straight up metallic gold, just like a straight up metallic gold on here. That's a satin. That's not even the metallic one. Where are you? I know you. I don't know. Well, the metallic gold one is somewhere. It's not up here. So either way, I started straight with the metallic gold, and what it wound up being was kind of like extremely watery with like flakes, like kind of goldish flakes kind of in it. So it didn't really have a color of its own. So I needed to do an undercoat of like a golden kind of color. Like I took like a satin kind of gold ochre color. And then on top of that, I added the gold metallic part, which gave it the shine that I wanted. And I'm just kind of running under the assumption that the metallic surfaces are all going to kind of work the same way. So that's why I'm kind of doing this first, doing my undercoat first, and then I can go and deviate the color as I see fit after that. So this may entirely be the wrong type of brush to use for this. I will be switching to a bigger brush later on. What do we have now? I have roughly 9:10 on my clock here. So that means I just need to make sure I'm going to give myself about 10 minutes to do my little spiel. It's probably going to take like 5. This may wind up being slightly short, but I want to make sure I have time in the end to go over characters. So that would be good. Also, I feel like I'm kind of talking under my breath a lot recently when I'm doing these videos. So I'm trying to enunciate just a little better this time. Not like I don't need to whisper everything to you guys. I can speak in actual voice. might be good. Okay, yeah, this coat is not going to look great. This is actually going to look probably pretty bad, but it is a necessary coat. But it will also help clean up some of this errant black kind of stuff that got all over the place. Because in order to get into some of these areas on here, I got black kind of everywhere. So this is also why we work from inside. Outside when we do anything is we can always touch up as we go outside. It's a whole lot easier touching up from in to out than out to in, especially in little kind of skinny spots. It just works better. Okay, don't need to cut in underneath because this underneath part is also metal. So now the fingers themselves are gold. So don't need to touch them yet, or at least yellow or whatever that color is going to be. Haven't really looked it up yet because I know that's going to be the golden, those little kind of golden details are going to be very likely the last things on here. If I could, I would have the green be the last, just because it's like the last big piece, and it would be nice to have a good big reveal in the end kind of deal. But I do absolutely need that on here before I can do the gold stuff. So, yep, there is that. Okay, do kind of need to cut in a little bit on the upper part here because this outside section gets the, I hate using the term light black, but it's technically going to be a gray, but it's going to be a very black kind of gray. It's going to be a touch lighter than what that is, but not super much. But either way, I don't need to paint that gray. However, if I do paint it gray, the gray is very light. It's not that far off what the primer is. So I also really don't need to worry too much if I kind of nick things or whatever, because in the end, this won't really have any kind of negative effect on anything. Okay, and I can actually hold you that way, which is nice, because then I can get the underside here and just do it all in one swoop. But yeah, in terms of those two things, the states for the Science Olympiad, when I got to Nationals, I had no idea what to expect from Nationals. So it's not like I didn't think I could do anything. I just didn't really have an expectation of what to expect from that. So I couldn't really say this, that, or the other going into it. And after the first year was done, I knew what the expectation was, so it's not like I felt like I couldn't do anything before. All of a sudden, I felt more empowered after that, because I was like, oh, I know what's going on now. I can do this. And my second year, I did. And then it went downhill after that. Then again, it's not like the Rocks and Minerals ones, I never bombed the Rocks and Minerals stuff. First year, my sophomore year, it wound up being a trial event that we found out about, or our coach told us about 3 hours before the event at Nationals. Like, oh, they're trying this new thing. You should go and do that. So 3 hours of studying, I think I came in like 26th in the country on that. So I'm going to go ahead and guess everybody was in the same boat on that one, where nobody knew it was a thing until it was actually a thing. At the same time, came back the next year. Like I said, I came in, I think it was either 11th or 12th. It's funny, I think my memory had it being 11th, but when I looked it up afterwards, it wound up being 12th. But whatever. It's one of those, I know one question I got wrong, and I must have gotten something else, but I can't think of it unless I just, one of those you accidentally put down the wrong answer kind of deal. and you just don't second or you don't double check your work kind of stuff. So that's as best as I can figure on that. Otherwise, yeah, I came back the third year. It was a harder test, and I think I was like, again, like 20 some. I think I was low 20s in the next one in my senior year. Only because that one, they asked a lot more questions. They were a lot more varied, and that was more geared towards, I think, if you had a stronger team. Again, if you had both you and your teammate were kind of working together, you could probably bang out a number of those things. But you know, we just saw a gauntlet being done, so let's not do a gauntlet this time. We'll do like last time. We're going to do one side of this, and if you see the other and I get to the other, cool. If I don't, then also cool. We can do that part either later or off camera, although I'm going to be... I keep feeling like I keep saying, oh yeah, we can do this stuff off camera. There's not that much more stuff to do on camera. Again, there are only so many colors on here. But I think I was honestly surprised my senior year that we got 20 something on that test. It's one of those I felt like we had failed it completely. Just because I knew each question was like maybe 3-4 minutes long a piece, and they were like 4, 5, 6 segments to each question. And they were a little more involved than they were in the previous years. It wasn't just straight up identifying, it's how you're using stuff and where you're finding things and all that, which I hadn't quite gotten into before. But at the same time, my freshman year of high school, before the Science Olympiad stuff, I think it was between like cross country and track season, or the winter and spring track, or whatever it was. My earth science teacher kind of came in to class one day and was like, oh, we're having we're having a science league test, and our school's hosting it this time, or is hosting this event this time. So anybody who wants to come and just do it, hey, come on over and take the test. So I did that one. I felt like I'd failed. So I knew about that maybe a week before. So essentially, I just read the book. In the week before the test, I just basically just read the book once over, and that was it. And I kind of felt like I failed that test as well. But apparently I won. We actually got that. We never got the national test back. We never got any of the Science Olympiad tests back. We never got our scores back. We never got any of that to actually go over. We actually got the other one back. And the Science League one, I got like a 62 or something on the test. But apparently it won. So this is why when I say when we go for scores, what the expectations are. At the state level, the expectation is you can just write a hard test and you will weed out everybody. By the time you got to nationals, they assume everybody knows everything, and they will ask more questions than you physically have time to answer. And that was the difference between, I think, the two levels. But I remember getting that test back and just like laughing at it. I'm like, how? How did I win when technically I've had a passing grade, I guess. It's like a D minus, but still. Oh well. Sometimes things just are what they are. I love memories. Memories make you laugh. You're stressful, not and like up the wazoo doing all these types of things. It's like you're this ball of nerves going through any of these types of activities. But then even once you're like, even just like less than a day later, you can just like take a quick nap after something, and all of a sudden it's just like, oh man, this feels so good. I can just laugh at what happened, laugh at what goes right, laugh at what goes wrong. It's just, there's such a difference in mentality going through these things. I'm actually not 100% sure what color that's supposed to be. It's probably supposed to be the black. I just never looked at his foot. Or the underside of the foot. So if that's the case, I will come back to it at another time. Just not yet. Not much difference, it looks like, on camera between the gray here and the primer. Although, to be fair, there's not much difference in real life either between these two. I am kind of liking this color on here, though. Because somehow it feels like, I don't know if it's the same on camera, but it feels like it has that kind of beigey undertone to it. And it is literally just a gray with white added to it. So it should still technically be a gray. So I'm not sure why it's feeling different. But whatever. As long as I get done what I want to get done. In the time I want to get it done. I still have about 10 more minutes of this before we move on to the next stage, so not feeling bad about that. Yeah. There is still one regret on the Science Olympiad stuff, though. And that was once the events and all that were done, once things were finished, once we're over, we have our results, we've all learned our lessons, learned what we did know, learned what we didn't. At least in my sense, I don't know if the others did it or not. I don't think there was never a planned session, but there was never kind of a reteaching what we had done to the next group. And I think if we were to do it again, I would kind of lean a little. I would like to pass down the stuff that I had gathered from the race to the next in line, have kind of a good debriefing session, what worked, what didn't when we were studying stuff. Although, yes, the questions and the tests and all that will change from year to year, but still have an idea of like what types of things did we go through, what types of things were important, what types of information kind of wasn't important, what did we spend time on prepping for that we probably maybe didn't need to or wasn't as important, which things should we have spent more time on that would have been more important, and just kind of have a really good debriefing with the next group in line who kind of, again, your life cycle on one of those teams, if you're on a team the whole time, is 3 years. You have 3 years of middle school, and you have 3 years of high school, and that's it. It's not that long a session. And even then, generally speaking, you're cycling between events. I'm kind of one of the odd cases where I kind of stayed with the same events the entire way through. Most people don't do that. Again, as you learn new things, you then move on to the next. I just kind of became the earth science guy. But if I were to do it again, I think the big change I would have done would be to have, or try to have, debriefing sessions afterwards, just to kind of go over what worked, what didn't work, all that. I'm not sure what color these are in the back. I'm not going to pull out the thing for it just here. So I'm just going to put a coat of the silver on this. And if it is, it is. If it's not, we can paint right over that because the little clasp is just like that. Okay, so we've seen one hand, we've seen one foot. Let's go and get the big guy just so we can... And for this, you know what? Goodbye, little brush. You were fun, but you were... If I have time at the end of this, I can pull you back out, but we are not using a little brush for that. And hey, the red brush is already dried, so red brush, you're now silver, or gray. This is going to look, this will kind of look all kinds of wrong, but it should look more right than the white does, so. Let's get this little rocket going. The nice thing is, once all this goes together, this will actually... Well, I don't know why. In my head, I thought this silver was going to have more of a difference. But because it's just so close to the... It's so close to the primer color, because we don't have the metallic part on here, it doesn't look like much of anything has happened. That said, once the metallic paint goes on this, that will absolutely transform. That stuff shines off the light. The light shines off it so much that, yes, that will change it. But this, no. And this is why I change brushes, because I can do this thing like 10 times faster. Look at that. We're almost done. Bam. Well, this is covering kind of nicely. Where can I put you so I don't get paint on stuff? As long as I don't get paint on the table, I guess we're okay. Okay, you're gone. Let's see. No, you still feel like you have more in there. I just gotta dry it out a little bit. Yeah, the bristles of the brush, I know, kind of start changing colors as I do things, but the color doesn't come out onto the final product. So even if the brush has a little bit of hint of color in it, it's still okay. It's still good, it's still good. Alright, so I have another random color here. We can start on this gauntlet. We'll get this gauntlet done, and then we'll move on to character reveal. Yay! Part we've been waiting for. Because I don't know. I think they're fun characters. Not sure you're gonna think they're fun characters. Again, the theme is war, so we're gonna see what you think of on that one. But like I said, I've done a lot of kind of more fanciful ones recently, so I think it's time to, just like it was time to I need to do a male character. I hadn't done one in a while, so I want to do Bang, and kind of really kind of get that in there. Like I said, it's been a lot of kind of more fanciful guys, so it's time to go and try a different one, or a different genre. Have something stand out in my collection. At some point it would be nice to try to go and try maybe just one straight off of like an Yoshitaka Amano artwork. I've done Final Fantasy ones before, but I've always kind of done them off of more production images or others. It would be interesting to go off of a Yoshitaka Amano one and just like not use any other references for it. I'm sure that would wind up being, I'm not even sure how that would wind up. It would be a thing if I were to try that, but not quite in that mood right now. Some reason my taste has changed slightly on what I want. Am I even on camera? If I'm not on camera, feel free to yell at your screen. That's fine. I will understand. I won't hear you, but I will understand. Okay, I have to say doing this gauntlet is much easier when I don't need to physically hold the gauntlet while doing it. I can hold the rest of them and things are fine. Makes life so much easier. So much easier. Okay, so we need to, cutting in around this hand, it doesn't look like a problem. There wasn't really any black that got places it shouldn't, so makes that a little easier. And I love it when I look over and I see like a little white spot there. I'm like, oh, I missed a spot. And you kind of turn it a little bit. It's like, nope, That's just shine. You didn't miss anything. And I feel like that happens more often than it should. Okay, let's see a little bit more. We're almost there. I wish I had music and stuff queued up on the computer, but I don't, so sorry for the reveal. It's not going to have that going with it. That would have been awesome. But, oops. That said, audio balancing with music stuff on here is a thing. I remember when I first started trying to figure out how to do the streaming stuff and whatnot, I remember trying it, and it was just utterly perplexing how to get things to work out correctly. I've heard other streamers online complain about audio balancing and getting things right like that, and I always kind of wrote it off like, yeah, haha, okay, you're just complaining about stuff. Audio balancing is rough. It's just... You would think it would be something that's ridiculously easy to do, and for some reason it just doesn't want to work correctly. And I think once you get a system that is correct, you hang on to that for dear life, because you don't want to have to do that again. Okay, did I get all the stuff? Yes, I think we have that gauntlet done. I have a little bit of white still showing. Come on, get on here. Well, that's the part where it looked like I missed stuff, and nope, it's just reflecting. Okay. So let's see, what do we have in the end? Well, in the end, this guy is already dry enough on the bottom that I can do the top. Back to the tiny brush again, but I'm not swapping out this time. We're just going to finish off. Whoop. Finish off the top of the nail. Okay. Almost there. Facets almost complete. And considering this guy hasn't had any part of his scarf stuff on at all in forever, might be interesting to see how that all comes. Now I'm not going to shove this into it, so unfortunately the nail will still be separate. The nail will still definitely be separate. I'm not going to put that on right now, but I can at least throw the other stuff on, just get a rough idea. Again, the red is going to need a great many coats, so it will not look right on him at the moment. Oh, also, where are my plastic bags? Apparently this one was used for yellow on the Rain project before, so I'm even recycling these guys. If there's no reason to throw anything out, I'm not going to throw it out. We can still reuse stuff. Okay, so we have that, The red is good. Wow, that is a superhero cape right there. He is going all in on this hero look. I need a visual. Okay. Now, unfortunately, the scarf, the upper part of the scarf, is going to look really kind of foolish without But there we go. We got that. I think I'm going to call that visual improvement on this Bang project this time. Yeah, no, the red makes huge difference. Red makes a huge difference. All right, that is much better. We can even hold this thing down here, and we have a bim bam boom. Nail. Okay, so that is where Bang is right now, and yeah, next time, not sure where I'm going. Next time could either be adding start putting the metallic part on the metal. I might do the highlights on the hair. There are a number of places I want to go. I haven't even thought about it yet. So next time's going to be whatever next time's going to be. I'm not sure. However, as I said, our next project I'm looking at, at least the next clay model project I'm looking at, there are also other options. I may not necessarily do a clay model. Be warned, it may not be a clay model. Earlier this week, I finally halfway figured out a plan on a kind of storage backdrop thing for what I'm using here. I'll give you a heads up. Right now, I just have a nice little backdrop thing kind of going on. It's cheap. It's just two pieces of things taped together with a whole mess of junk and stuff behind. As you can see, I have all my modeling stuff just kind of thrown behind all of this. So I kind of halfway figured out an idea on making a backdrop slash storage thing. So it may wind up being a furniture piece if I actually put the whole thing together in my head and get it kind of lined out. Otherwise, we are going to a war that took place, let's say, sometime in the past in a continent that is not Europe during a conflict that is not World War II. The illusions they make are pretty stark, but we are looking at the world of Valkyria Chronicles. So this is I believe it's Squad E from Valkyria Chronicles 4. I've also done Valkyria Chronicles 1, which showcases Squad 7. In which case it is, just got off here so you can see, I feel like I'm doing more here. The fun thing, Valkyria Chronicles, I think is a really good, it's a strategy kind of game for I believe it's PlayStation exclusive. It came out, Valkyria Chronicles 1 came out for the PlayStation 3. Valkyria Chronicles 2 and 3 came out for the PlayStation Portable, which probably very few people have ever played. And then on the PlayStation 4, Valkyria Chronicles 4 came out. So in the first game, the way it depicts war and whatnot, and the battlefields and the conflicts that it resolves, is there's almost no politics in it whatsoever. In the first game, your country of Gallia is being attacked by, I forget the name of the other place. It's the Empire or something. I forget the name of it. But you're being attacked by them, and you are on the defensive the whole time. This is your hometown. Your main characters who find themselves in the conflict are a baker and a biology student in Alia and Welkin Gunther. And the entire game kind of takes place. You know, if I'm going to speaking, I might as well turn this around. I can go, hey, here I am. We've already had a face reveal before, so can you angle up? Not that high. So the fun part of that one is it takes the view of war that it takes is from like the eyes of just regular kind of townsfolk, regular kind of country people who are just their area, their hometowns are under attack, and they're defending themselves. And it's a very kind of personable experience going through. It seems it's kind of a very light-hearted take on things, a lot of camaraderie and whatnot. It uses like bright colors and whatnot in there. It's not like this down-out, beaten kind of storyline. It's not this like Rambo type character going through. It's just people defending their hometowns and their home country. So that's pretty much the story of the first game, is you're always on the defensive. You're protecting everyone around you. I'm not sure what happens in the games 2 and 3, but at game 4, you're now controlling a different squad, and this one is now actively moving into, they are the tip of the spear going on the offensive in enemy territory. So once again, now you have issues of morality of, all right, if you're in enemy territory, how do like townspeople and whatnot that are coming through respond to you? Do they like that you're there liberating them? Are you liberating them? Are you going into enemy strongholds where they hate you? You never really know which you are. And although it has lighthearted takes throughout much of the story, kind of seems to be more kind of, I'd say more the I'm saying lighthearted, more kind of personal side of things. At the same time, this is war. Bad things do happen. Really bad things do happen to good people, and good people are put in positions where they have to make decisions that are straight up bad for something is going to happen between them. Not everything is rosy and whatnot that goes through. So it does depict, it's a very personable tales on all of them. They're really good stories, but things happen. And so from our band of characters here, I have 3 of them. I'm turning the camera around like it means anything. I have 3 of them, which I think would be interesting to go off of. So from Valkyria Chronicles 4, we have Kai. And Kai is the sniper of your team. And a little bit about her backstory is she joined the military looking for her brother. So her brother had joined a long time ago, and he is actually in deep cover as a spy in enemy territory. And both he has gone missing, and you're learning a lot of the plans and whatnot that you are making are being leaked to the enemies. So they know what's going on. So the entire game, you are wondering, Kai is looking for her brother, and you as a player are wondering, is she going to find him and bring him home? Or does she have to find him and put him down? Because again, this is a game that doesn't pull punches. It could be either one at the end, the way it runs itself through. So it's a very interesting dynamic of what you want to see happen, what does happen from her own perspective, what she's looking for. Does this work? And I think she's a very solid character in that regard. And then we come back. I'm going to say the only problem on a modeling side with her is her poses are terrible. I don't have a single image of a pose that looks good for her. I think she's great as a character, but every one of the poses that she has is basically just her, like somebody walking up to the camera saying, oh, smile and say cheese, and that's it, and just kind of looks over and just kind of stands there like you can see on the left there. It just, there are no good. So I like her as a character, but from a modeling perspective, I think that's a knock against. So if we come back from that, next one we have is Riley, who is also from Valkyria Chronicles 4. And she is your artillery support, which she is basically your typical, the skinniest anime girl possible, carries the heaviest amount of equipment, because that's how this type of thing works. And her backstory is, to be honest, I have no freaking clue what her backstory. I absolutely 100% forget what her story was. I played this game early on when I got the PlayStation 4. I believe the game I played before it was Nier Automata, and the one after it was Yakuza 0. So those are both very strong narrative games, and this one just kind of fell by the wayside. So I've forgotten some of the details. But as a character, she brings a lot more. It's a lot more kind of spunky atmosphere. It's a lot more kind of spunky kind of ness coming to the model side of things. It's a lot more playful. I think, yeah, for the modeling, it's a lot more kind of fun in that regard. But the character itself, I've kind of forgotten a bunch with. And if you can just, I'm pointing at the screen, but if you look at her jacket there, because I would do probably the image in the middle, the pose is actually much, much better than the Kai pose. But the jacket has lining on both sides. Not only does the outside have the thing on it, there are lining on the inside of that jacket. And I think that's going to make for an interesting modeling challenge if I were to go for that. So it's a better pose, has more kind of a little more interest in terms of the modeling stuff. I'm not sure 100% off the top of my head right now how to do it correctly, but it brings a little something different to the table if I were to go in that direction. That said, if we come on and move on to the third one, this would be Eleanor from Valkyria Chronicles 1. And she is the squad commander, not squad commander, she is the captain of the division that your squad 7, your main characters are. So she is basically the CO of your squad in the first game. And I'll be honest, the pose is absolutely amazing. That pose on the right there is so good. Generally speaking, not many of the characters in this series are depicted well as just like a still shot. A lot of them are just have that kind of I'm looking into the camera and smiling kind of pose, and that's about it. But that pose on the right is so good. The only problem with hers is it lacks the fun. Everything is bam, it's clear cut, it is straight to business. But I think what would be missing from this one on the downside is it lacks the fun, say, that the Riley has, as opposed to the Eleanor here. So I think this is the best looking one. Ultimately, at the end of the project, this will probably be the best looking one. But I think during it, it's going to lack a little bit of the spunk, a little bit of the fun that the other one will have. I think, yeah, on the left, Kai is the best of the characters. In the middle, Riley has like the most fun, the most just kind of unique challenges going in. And I think on the right there, Eleanor has the best pose in general. That said, there are models of all three of these characters that have already been done before. And to that regard, it's kind of like, okay, you have something you can compare to. Well, take a look at these characters real close. If you would like to purchase your own model of these that are available, that is what they are. I am face palming so hard right now. Yeah, these are the characters you see in the game. This is what they'll sell you for the characters if you want to get their models. It's just, why? How was any of this thought of as a good idea? But yeah, that is, let me pop you on. Yeah, if you have any of these three that you in particular would like to see, you can put it in the comments section, talk to me, whatever. If there's any of these three you absolutely don't want to see, that's sometimes even more important, let me know that too. Otherwise, I haven't decided which of them I'm going to go for yet, but I'm looking at doing one of these three as the next project. Whoa, hello, camera. But I am looking at one of those as the next in the line of projects. So that's where things stand on now. That's possibly where things will go in the future. Like I said, I have that. I could do the furniture piece if I finish kind of mentally putting this together. Or, yeah, I could just pull out a wild card and do something else altogether. But that's where things are going right now. That's where Bang is right now. We got some red in here. We got some very hard to see gray because it blends into the primer. And this video has now been going on much longer than it needs to. So until next time, enjoy.